city power has to be rethought and changed. Before we had 2 test teams for the city, which was ample. Now we urgently have to establish at least 1 at every depot. Same goes for technicians, spares and security staff. This is the burden that this city is facing because of the failure by the national entity to keep the lights on. And we all know who we're talking about. Now to Joburg Water. Joburg Water is the distributor of water, whereas Rand Water is the supplier, same as Eskom with power. To do so, Joburg Water has 12,500 kilometers of water pipes and the same amount of sewer pipes. Due to a lack of funding, we still have about 3,000 kilometers of AC pipes in the city. Way past their sale-by date, these pipes cause most of the pipe bursts in the city, and they need urgent replacement. However, due to budget constraints, Joburg Water has a target of only 20 pipes being replaced in about 110 years. Even if we get this up to 150 kilometers per year, it will take another 20 years to replace them all. But what is even more worrying is that our supplier of water has not done anything to improve in 15 years, even though the city and therefore the demand for water has grown hugely. For the past 7 years, we have never managed to come out of level 1 water restrictions because of this, and right now people are sitting without water. I've called for an oversight visit to Rand Water so that we as a city will engage with our supplier, but to no avail. Someone said the next war will be fought about water. I hope that we can avoid that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Makamo.
Acting Speaker, greetings to all councillors. The ANC notes their reports on item 23, item 24, item 27, item 28, item 29, and item 30. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Councillor. MMC Squela.
Thanks, Acting Speaker. Executive Mayor, Councillor Thapelo Amat. I wish he was here. You'll understand why the name Thapelo is so significant to me. To the lead of caucus of the ANC, Councillor Dadamrero, progressive councillors of the ANC, and all progressive coalition partners. Let me take this opportunity, councillors, to then welcome all inputs made by various councillors here and indicate that the DC department will work very hard to deal with issues as raised here, in particular issues around filling of vacant posts, which in fact is a problem to us. We must indicate that as in city power, for instance, the issue of vandalism of our own infrastructure is a thorn. It's a pity now Councillor Doi is not here from Eldos. In my visit to Eldos, I found it very much difficult because he was there with private security guys from his own locality, physically guarding the infrastructure himself. In fact, they apprehended two thieves who were in fact caught in the middle of, they were busy digging the infrastructure there, which is a city power that costs a lot of money that could be, redirected somewhere else. So we appreciate other comments from Councillor Pitkau. We will continue to improve in city power and do better in terms of achieving all our KPIs. And I therefore recommend that this council then note this report. Thanks very much.
Thank you, MMC. Member in charge, Councillor Ngobeni.
Thank you, Speaker. Noting the observations cited in the tabled oversight report, the Environment and Infrastructure Services Section 79 Oversight Committee recommends that Council approves the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillors, the recommendations for the first quarter reports are on pages 21.3, 22.5, 23.3, 24.4, and 29.19. And then, just check here. What's this number? 17.21 as well.
17.1.
29.19 to 17.21.
Yes.
It's descending. 29, it's not ascending.
Oh, you mean that maybe this one should have been...
37 or something. It can't go
Can we
down.
just quickly, can we check that one, TK, in the recommendations? if it's correct?
This recommendations doesn't look like this one. Apologies for that, councillors. There was just a little bit of a mix-up with regards to the recommendations, but the recommendations are as follows. For the first quarter reports are on pages 21.3, 22.5, 23.3, 24.4, and 29.19 to 29.21. And the recommendations for the second quarter reports are on pages 25.3, 26.3, 27.3, 28.4, and 30.13. Are the items agreed to, councillors? Thank you, councillors. At this juncture, councillors, we are ready to break for lunch. It is currently 2 o'clock exactly. We will return after an hour. We will reconvene at 3. Thank you so much. Thank you, councillors. We are ready to continue with the business of the day. Acting Secretary to Council, you may proceed. Councillors, please check your mics, please. There is a microphone that is on that is not allowing us to. Thank you so much.
All right. Councillors, we are still on recommendations to council, and we resume on item 31, which is a performance assessment report for the health department for the 2022-23 financial year for the period July to September 2022. Read together with item 32, which is a performance assessment report for the Social Development Department for the 2022-23 financial year for the period July to September 2022. Also read together with item 33, which is the performance assessment report for the Health Department for the 2022-23 financial year for the period October to December. Also read together with item 34, which is the performance assessment report for the Social Development Department for the 2022-23 financial year for the period October to December 2022. Also read with item 35, which is an oversight report of the Health and Social Development Section 79 Committee on the 2022-23 first quarter budget and performance assessment report of the Health Department and Social Development Department for the period July to September 2022. And lastly, also read together with item 36, which is an oversight report of the Health and Social Development Section 79 Committee on the 2022-23 second quarter budget and performance assessment report of the Health Department and Social Development Department for the period October to December 2022.
Thank you, Acting Secretary to Council. We call on the member in charge, Councillor Nkoko.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, the Mayor, Chief Whip of the Council, MMCs, Municipal Manager, Acting Secretary of the City of the Council, all leaders of African political parties, sons and daughters of African soil in Tanzania, continent, diaspora, and abroad. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, 21st March, we were commemorating Sharpeville Langa massacre. It was a day that Africans were murdered by illegal, evil, corrupt colonial settlers regime, invaded Africa illegally. Till this day, we are still living in occupied Tanzania. Mr. Speaker, the African struggle, right from the beginning, was about the return of the land to its rightful owners and equitable redistributions of its wealth. Mr. Speaker, you cannot fight to become a part of the apparatus of your slave master. If you do, you will re-enslave yourself. Your job is to destroy that apparatus. Mr. Speaker, under direct foreign rule, the African colony is dominated both politically and economically by the imperialist power acting through its white settlers class. Mr. Speaker, I raised to table the performance assessment report as were read by Acting Secretary to the Council, item 31 read together with item 32, item 33, item 34, item 35, item 36 for Council consideration is lead.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Abdul.
Good afternoon, goeiemiddag, shalom, assalamu alaikum, sanbonani, lochani, molweni, Nda. Dumelang. Greetings, fellow South Africans. I greet all South Africans, African, Asian, Caucasian, everybody in this council. You are here because you belong here. You are in South Africa because you belong here. I come from African. My grandmother is Xhosa, Kibua Setswana, Hanyani fela. I come from Indian, I come from white, and I come from the Khoisan people. So my wortels is here. So I would like to thank everyone, Mr. Speaker. I would like to say thank you so much for the manner in which you are conducting this meeting. For the first time in 7 months, there is peace and there is order, and I thank you. My name is Fatima Abdul, and I represent the United Independent Movement, UIM. I understand you are exhausted. So, I would like to add the following, and I do note the report, and I commend the committee for doing what they have done. I would like to add the following. If possible, that social development, community development, as well as economic development be combined, that small business development, entrepreneurship skills, skills development, volunteerism become part of what we do in our community so that our community become self-sustainable. Community service initiatives, our people have become so dependent on handouts and the government that has to do stuff for them. It is time that we empower them, that they start doing stuff for themselves. I would like to see more funding go to initiatives like feeding schemes, because there are so many gogos and vulnerable children, women in the streets walking about hungry. I would like to also recommend that we do more community engagements and analysis by asking the community what can we do for them instead of us telling them what we want to do for them. And I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Ndou.
Greetings to the Speaker of Council, caucus leader of the Economic Freedom Fighters, and my fellow councillors in the city of Johannesburg. We as the EFF would like to note the above mentioned report with the following contributions. The EFF says that clinics should operate 24 hours. Therefore, we note the extension of service hours implemented in Slovoville, Protea South, Postmont Clinic, following the motion tabled before Council by the EFF caucus. Kancane, we are getting somewhere. Contracts of the Ijozi Hlomile under the EPWP must be insourced so that the ongoing protest action can come to an end. We cannot afford to have health field workers being delayed because in our communities we have citizens who need them on a daily basis. They should be insourced at once so that they can perform their duties without frustrations. Part of the report states that the awareness of campaigns at schools on teenage pregnancy have been undertaken. In addition, there should be free sanitation towels available in schools and clinics, as it is the basics for young females and underprivileged women. Item 35 and 36, oversight report, they are noted. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Benjamin.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, guests, councillors, and the residents of the city of Johannesburg. The word healthcare means different things to different people. Sir Winston Churchill said, "Healthy citizens are the greatest assets that any country can have." Primary health care delivers the first line of care to our residents in our city, whether they are in an acute phase of a crisis or in need of help maintaining a chronic condition, assessing a patient in need of intervention from substance abuse, or just dealing with the daily sniffles, aches, and pains. The National Development Plan states that health is not just a medical issue, but the social determinants of health needs to be addressed, including the promotion of healthy behavior and lifestyle. Starting with food legislation. This is why food legislation compliance inspections at premises, as well as informal food traders, are important. Unfortunately, these targets were not met, which means these two spheres need to have accelerated services and improved stats. Another concern, but one that is not is the continued loss of the nursing staff to the private and other governmental medical institutes. Our inability to keep our people is a concern. The city has to date, through substance abuse training, seen 194 nurses and 12 doctors trained over both quarters in the detection of abuse, which provides our clinics with critical insight that can change the trajectory of a life, of a family, and our communities. The above would be fruitless without community-based substance abuse treatment centers, which are now operational in all regions. In order to ensure the medical services reach those residents in areas where there are no clinics, the former mayor of the city of Johannesburg, who was then the MMC of Health, Councillor Palazzi, relaunched the mobile clinic program, which now sees 10 units going out to meet patients on the ground in their areas, providing them with much needed health care. This primary care system reduces the strain on our health system by providing comprehensive and preventative care to the residents of our city, and therefore we are proud to have the extended clinics program. COVID-19 vaccination programs have also been integrated into the day-to-day operations of our clinics, so as to minimize missed opportunity. The DA envisages a social society in which citizens take increasing personal responsibility for their healthy lifestyles. The HIV program has seen a high rate of individuals tested, and a high rate has been initiated on ART treatment, 97.6%. TB investigations done on patients 5 years and older has seen a 96.6% of patients placed on treatment. The human need is for the hope of relief, for sympathy, and that something should be done. This is what is felt by those who are suffering. But these essential services cannot be done without the frontline staff. So I want to say to those on the ground, our nurses, our doctors, our administrators, our ward-based outreach teams, and our regional administrators, thank you. Let us continue to be loud and bold in our dedication to the service of our communities. We are, after all, their voices. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Mposula.
Greetings to the Acting Speaker, Executive Mayor, Action SA Provincial Chairperson, Funzela Ngobeni, Fabulous 44, all protocol observed. As Action SA, we are deeply concerned about the trend of missed KPI and mediocre performance that has been prevalent in such a fundamental department that is responsible for provision of primary health care to our people. For an example, I'll give an overview of service delivery performance. Status of KPA and target performance. In the health department, SDBIP for 2022-2023, 9 out of 42 key performance indicators were not achieved against the set target, resulting in 78.5% achievement. old age home, children home, 73% against the target of 90%. Mortuaries, funeral undertakers, premises inspected per annum, 58% against the target of 100. Really, we can do better, Speaker. And I can go on and on and on. Speaker, as much as we appreciate public participation on ESP, I am concerned about the inconsistency when coming to a number of people attending such sessions. You'll find areas like Region B, Danny van Zyl Recreation Center, where 118 people attended, and then Region D in Soweto Theatre, only 11 people attended. Really, there is a disconnect here. It looks like people are organizing these sessions just to tick boxes. To add salt to the wound, no people are being registered in most of ESP public participation sessions. We have got an issue of GBV in our country. And what is of great concern is that men doesn't attend these sessions that dealt with this scourge. I would like to voice out my disappointment, Speaker, with male councillors in this chamber who were seen disrespecting women. Speaker, this is unacceptable. Really, we have lowered the standard with the caliber of councillors that we have brought into this chamber. I suggest the councillors in this room attend these GBV awareness sessions, not as VIPs, but as beneficiaries of these programs. One of the initiatives of social development is to encourage gooding. There is a Swahili proverb, Speaker, that says, "Mutota wenyoka na nyoka." It means an offspring of a serpent is a serpent. It means you shall produce of your own kind. If you don't have order, you will lead people who are out of order for the rest of your life. The community of Naledi is subjected to inhuman conditions. In the satellite clinic, people are forced to queue outside in what appears to be a shack with no ventilation system. Boxes of patients' files are lying everywhere, and staff is forced to work in such atrocious conditions. There is a need to prioritize completion of these clinics. Action SA notes the reports. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mposula. Councillor Nyembe. Can I kindly ask that you switch off the mic, Councillor Mposula, so that we can proceed? Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Greetings to Acting Speaker, our Mayor, our MMC, Leader of Caucus, Ubaba Udada Mrero, Chief Whip of Council, Ubaba Umanzini, Unyamagayish. Speaker, we are noting the report, and we also would like to register our concerns with regards to shortage of appropriate land to build clinics in certain areas such as Ward 10. We ask both MMC of Health and Social Development and MMC of Community Development to sit down and see if part of appropriate land belonging to city parks could be used to build a clinic that will serve our community and restore dignity. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Nyembe. Councillor Homer.
Good afternoon to all present in this chamber today, and more especially the residents of the city of Johannesburg. According to the government's performance index for South Africa 2021, Of the top 10 best performing ranked municipalities in the country, 8 are DA-run, while all 10 municipalities are located within the DA-run Western Cape. These 10 best performing municipalities are measured alongside the 10 worst performing municipalities, which are all located within ANC-run provinces, and 8 of the 10 worst performing are that run by the ANC. Along with this reality check, the basic premise for measuring the worst and best performing municipalities in the country, according to the GPI, is being high levels of unemployment and poverty. The number 1 performing municipality is the DA-led Cape Agulhas, which has 18% proportion of households living in poverty or unemployed, while the number 1 worst performing municipality is the ANC-led Ntsimbakulu, which has a 67% proportion of households living in poverty or unemployed. The truth hurts, and you need no more good proof of good governance other than these facts. Champagne socialist is a political term commonly used to imply a degree of hypocrisy, and it is closely related to the concept of the supposed progressive elite. The phrase is used to describe self-identified anarchists, communists, socialist lifestyles, and metonomically including consumption of champagne, and are ostensibly in conflict with their own political beliefs. And with Champagne socialists at the helm of this department and the city at large, I fear that the rhetoric of fear amongst the most vulnerable residents of this city, who heavily rely on the ethical mandate and execution of the work of the Department of Social Development, will be skewed. As a department, social development is the backbone of the city of Johannesburg, ensuring it is a caring and inclusive city, and one that gets the basics right. As part of the 7 mayoral priorities under the DA-led multi-party government, the DA placed a strong emphasis on poverty reduction, food security, substance abuse, and initiatives to protect victims of gender-based violence and femicide, and the development of an initiative that enabled self-sustainability and social inclusivity. The city, under the DA-led administration, worked tirelessly to redefine food security for the benefit of all residents, to combat substance abuse and reduce poverty through our extended social package, which is readily available to those who need it most. The DA gets things done. Far exceeding targets for assistance of displaced persons, homestead and communal gardens supporting the reduction of food insecurity, a number of orphans benefiting from the basket of services, and further exceeding targets for assisting beneficiaries in economic skills programs, as well as setting targets for the department who assist clients for social support services, while introducing new indicators to measure the performance of assisting victims of gender-based violence and femicide. While the Department of Social Development here in the city of Johannesburg is a mere security net for those left behind by the failings of social development at a provincial and national government level, I remind you again, both ANC-led, the city in this period had to combat inflation that was out of control thanks to the ANC at the helm of this country's financial woes. As the Democratic Alliance, we believe that central to empowering South Africans is ensuring that they are free from deprivations that rob them of their ability to use their opportunities. This requires a system of social security to protect people from extreme poverty and deliver high-quality basic services. With 21.4 billion rand allocated to provincial social development in the 23-24 budget cycle, we can only but hold our breath as to whether this department will move from patronage to a society of empowerment. The DA gets things done. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Homer. Councillor Nzimande.
Thank you, Speaker. It's being allocated to Sebenzile Mabuza. Thank you.
Thank you, noted. Thank you. MMC Makafola?
No. It's been allocated to Mabuza. Mabuza is on the floor now.
Oh, my apologies.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
you,
Councillor Mabuza?
Thank you.
Is yourself?
Yes.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. And greetings to Mayor, Chief Whip, and Leader of Caucus, Comrade Dada Morero, fellow councillors of the glorious movement, African National Congress, and the House at large. Speaker, I rise on item number 32 and 34, Performance Assessment for Social Development. The Department of Social Development has yet again done a disservice to our people. The department has neglected the most important indicators that most vulnerable people benefiting from such. The social service interventions benefiting senior citizens, the programs of orphans and vulnerable children benefiting from basket services, and the program of individuals benefiting from non-accredited economic skills programs. These are some of the programs that the department has failed dismally to account on. To even provide me clearly, the multi-party government cares less about our marginalized group. There is little to no work being done to this. Programs are not even reaching their intended beneficiaries. I have faith that the newly elected MMC will take the department into greater heights and restore the dignity of our people, unlike the disservice that was done by the previous administration. And I repeat, the department has yet again done nothing but disservice to our people. We note the report with great concerns. Thank you, Speaker. I pause.
Thank you, Councillor Mabuza. MMC Makafola.
Thank you, Speaker. Let me first send my greetings to the Executive Mayor, to the 29 battalions of the 26th July movement, led by the caucus leader, Spetlelera Surute. First and foremost, let me start by noting and actually being grateful for the contributions that were actually made by the previous speakers. I've acknowledged the concerns that were raised, and I can confidently say we are already attending to that as it is. Firstly, let me actually make the House aware. The first thing that we did when we got into office was to make sure that we do site visits. The fundamental or important thing that you have to do in a department when you get there is to understand how the department is run. And the only way to do that is to be on the ground with the people and understand their problems. And I can safely say we are busy doing that, and we are doing quite well with regards to that. We have noted, especially the one that was noted by Councillor Mbusula, the one of extended hours. We are happy actually to announce that we have actually added most of the facilities to be doing extended hours. Substance abuse, like they said, is one of the problems that we're actually having in our city. It's a pandemic on its own. And the city as it is, the largest metro in Africa, had no rehabilitation centers. And I can confidently say we will be the first one to launch the rehabilitation centers where we'll be able to send our fellow citizens of Johannesburg with regards to combating substance abuse. The reports are highly, highly recommended, and thank you for that, and we will put that in place. I thank you.
Thank you, MMC. Member in charge, Councillor Nkoko.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before I conclude, I would like to remind or talk to the hearts of my fellow African in the continent. No one is going to come from nowhere to come and liberate or rebuild or develop this continent, except you. It is your responsibility. By saying that, I'm going to say this. None of my remarks are intended to remove the ultimate responsibility for development from the shoulders of Africans, not only in African, not the only African accomplice inside the imperialist system, but every African has responsibility to understand the system and work for its overthrow.
Councillor Nkoko, please take your seat. There's a hand. Councillor Ekiozon Joku, what are you rising on?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to commend you for the manner in which you have conducted this meeting. I think the speaker should be in Tswane all the time, so you can chair the meeting fast. That's my first thing. Secondly, please, Councillor Nkoko must really calm down. We've got paramedics outside. We understand his point, he's very passionate, but we all belong in this chamber. All of us were Africans here. And now I'm a Khoi. All of you found us here.
Thank you.
I'm just a point of correction.
Thank
there.
you, thank you. Councillor Nkoko, Councillor Nkoko, as we proceed, let us be of one understanding that we are all
Yeah, thank you,
councillors and
thank you,
children of
thank you,
the
thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm not going to waste my breath about such remarks. Mr. Speaker, I'm asking myself, you must ask yourself, Mr. Speaker. This is a question directed to you, Mr. Speaker. What do you call a relationship between a horse rider and a horse?
Councillor, I think
Mr.
right now you are being out of order. I think you are being out of order right now. Please, can you just stick to speaking to the report and so that we can conclude?
Okay. Mr. Speaker, I was asking you a question.
No. I was asking you to close on the item.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, having had all comments by councillors, I ask this council to consider this report. Thank you. Isolate.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillors, the recommendations for the first quarter reports are on pages 31.18, 32.70, 35.12, and the recommendations for the second quarter reports are on pages 33.18, 34.101, and 36.15. Are the items agreed to? Thank you, councillors.
We're moving to item 37, which is the performance assessment report for the Human Settlement Department for the 2022-23 financial year for the period July to September 2022, read together with item 38, which is a performance assessment report for Joburg, for the Joburg Social Housing Company for the 2022-23 financial year for the period July to September 2022. Also read together with item 39, which is the performance assessment report for the Human Settlement Department for the 2022-23 financial year for the period October to December 2022. Also read together with item 40, which is a performance assessment report for Joburg Social Housing Company for the 2022-23 financial year for the period October to December 2022. Also read together with item 41, which is an oversight report of the Housing Section 79 Committee on the 2022-23 first quarter performance assessment report of the Department of Human Settlement and the Johannesburg Social Housing Company for the period July to September 2022. All items above read together with item 42, which is an oversight report of the Housing Section 79 Committee on the 2022-23 second quarter performance assessment report of the Department of Human Settlement and the Joburg Social Housing Company for the period October to December 2022.
Thank you, Acting Secretary to Council. The member in charge, Councillor Mpolo Bosho.
Thank you very much, Acting Speaker, and good afternoon. And I just to greet also the Mayor of City of Johannesburg, Councillor Ahmad, and also I'll greet also the MMCs. And also I'll greet also the Chief Whip of Council. I'll greet also the City Manager. City Manager, thank you very much. I welcome you back again. And also to greet the chairpersons of Section 79 committees. And Speaker, also I want to greet also then the party leaders in council and all councillors and the residents of City of Johannesburg. Speaker, then allow me to greet or then acknowledge the 2021 movement, then African Heart Congress, the Deputy President, Mr. P. Shoba, I think he's here in the podium, and also the national organizer, which is Lazi Mamushi, I think he's here. Thank you very much, a leader. Thank you very much. Speaker, I rise on behalf of the Section 79 committees to table item 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42 to council for consideration. Thank you very much, Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor Mpolobosho. Councillor Abdul.
Good afternoon once again. My caucus and I have decided that I will be speaking on this point. Yes. I greet you also on behalf of the President of the United Independent Movement, Neil de Beer, who is also known as Sgantsonso. I am the Vice President of the United Independent Movement, in case you don't know. So on the point of human settlement, for the past 7 months, I have felt like someone who was struggling to settle because now it open afgesit, so we didn't know where we were sitting. And it reminded me of the fact that there are so many people out there who don't have a place to stay. And this is very close to my heart. There are broken homes, as in homes that are being broken, buildings that are being broken, with the help of South African citizens who purchase these properties and then hand it over to foreign nationals. And then you find situations where illegal activities are happening. I would like this department to have a look at this as well, because all sorts of ugly things are happening there. Little girls are being used as prostitutes, human trafficking, as well as the drug cartel is thriving in those type of places. And I would just like to say the following, and please recommend that all these houses, before they get into the hands of these criminals, can it please be repurposed for women that are, for instance, victims of GBV, when they sometimes don't have a place to run to. There are so many buildings in our city that can be repurposed for that. Now, never mind the t-shirts we wear, never mind the seats we sit on, never mind the sides we sit on. In the end, we are public servants. And that I would like to encourage everyone here to always remember that the public is out there, we are the servants, and they have given us the mandate to come back and to serve. And never should stuff like your title or the side that you sit go to your head.
30 seconds.
Always remember that you are here to serve. Can we serve? I understand you are tired. You've been running around. I actually commend you for being here in council today. God bless you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Nemba.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, before I start, I would like to salute all the EFF ground forces who are in holding cells across South Africa. And also salute all the EFF ground forces who were shot by the police for a peaceful demonstration.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Speaker.
Yeah.
Speaker, there are their bravery, I'm referring to the ground forces of the EFF, has managed to give the councillors of the racist political organizations who were running around like headless chickens to different courts of South Africa to interdict our peaceful march. Today, their bravery and sacrifice has managed to give them an uncapped electricity for 5 days. Speaker, allow me to send my revolutionary greetings to the EFF caucus leader, Spetlele Rasurite, who is also the chairperson of MPEG, and our chief whip, Tabisa Mohapi, and 29 EFF battalions, fellow councillors. Speaker, we as the EFF note the reports with concerns. The target set by the department to upgrade informal settlement to phase 3 is very low in a city that has 181 informal settlements. The formalization of these informal settlements will reduce the backlog of 500,000 RDP houses in the city of Johannesburg. We request the department to prioritize formalizing the informal settlements. We also want to commend the number of RDP houses and title deeds that were issued to rightful beneficiaries. We cannot stress more the importance of black people owning land and property. Speaker, we have a concern with this three-code system which continues delaying progress in repairing and maintaining of hostels, flats, and old-age home. We strongly believe that the department should move away from this three-code system. Instead, hire and train young people to do repairs and maintenance in all our hostels and old-age home. This will close a corrupt tap of tenderpreneurs who in any way do a job that is below par. This is in line,
30 seconds.
This is in line with one of the cardinal pillars of the economic freedom fighters, which calls for the building of state capacity, which will lead to the abolishment of tenders. Speaker, we hope the newly elected MMC of Housing will zoom in this important entity called JOSCO. Year in, year out, term in, term out, we are always speaking of JOSCO's incompetence and scandals which range from maladministration.
You can take your seat. Your time has expired.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Sherman.
Switch off there.
I think you need to switch me on, you just did. Greetings to everyone in council, especially my dear colleagues, all protocol observed. Acting Speaker.
Councillor?
Yes, sir.
There's a hand. Can you please take your seat? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll take my seat.
Councillor Christians.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, because of the change in times, we've allocated 5 minutes to Councillor Sherman, not what is on the sheet, and 3 minutes to myself. Can we please adjust accordingly? Thank you.
Noted, Councillor Christians. You may proceed, Councillor Sherman. You've got 5 minutes. I think maybe 4 minutes and 40 seconds now.
Thank you. Mr. Acting Speaker, if the KPIs in terms of performance is anything to go by, then my current state of shock is warranted. Given the state of these facilities owned by the city, managed by human settlement, And the fact that these report states low spending on its capex, specifically slow uptake on projects, it raises even more reason for serious concerns. If the derelict state of its facilities are anything to go by, many of these flats/units are in a very, very advanced state or even stage of decay. This applies to old age homes too, notwithstanding the fact that none of the KPIs speaks to old age homes. Mr. Acting Speaker, I'd like to use one of these or such facilities as an example. A 5-story building in Ward 82 named Maxwell Court. Maxwell Court, Mr. Acting Speaker, is a disaster waiting to happen. This building is condemned for a good number of years already. And God forbid anything disastrous happens. I can only imagine all sorts of lawsuits. But then, Mr. Acting Speaker, I'm not surprised that Maxwell Court and the 3,900 other units in this particular ward has been neglected with no service delivery for over 28 years. Because, Councillor Arnolds, we are the forgotten people. And I believe they call us coloureds, MMC Kunene. Lest we forget Moffat View, Crisville, Eldorado Park, and other areas, MMC Lich. Old age homes.
Councillor?
Yes, sir.
Sorry to interrupt you. I would appreciate if you speak through the speaker.
I'm speaking to you, Speaker.
It
Apologies.
sounds as if you are addressing the MMC.
Oh, no, I thought because they coloureds, they expect for MMC Kunene, they would, you know, give some applause or,
You know the rules, Councillor. Please
I'm
proceed.
so
Thank you.
sorry. I really thought they'd actually give me a thumbs up or something. But anyway, so coloureds, I actually prefer to be called a person from mixed persuasion, so by the way, given the fact that Councillor Abdul has just explained our mixed blood. Anyway, so, relax guys, I'm almost done. Old age homes within the care of the department. Again, Mr. Acting Speaker, if you can indulge me with tangible proof, and I would hereby like to present it as evidence. A 95-year-old tenant at an old age home called Ilfias in Ward 69, living in an absolute appalling condition. His unit has been waterlogged for months, as the plumbing in this specific unit is non-existent, constantly having to mop up and on a daily basis having to take out his bedding, clothing, etc. to be dry cleaned by the sun. Not to mention, Mr. Speaker, he must sleep in a speedboat just in case he floats away during the night. And there are 130 units at this particular facility in even worse conditions. Mr. Acting Speaker, just to put things into perspective of non-service delivery, I'd like to just use 2 words, Mr. Speaker. Black mold. The dictionary explanation says, common in water-damaged buildings. Black mold is also very dangerous to any human being having to live in this particular state for months. And then another word I'd like to use is pathetic. The dictionary says, arousing pity, especially through vulnerability or sadness. I'm very ashamed and very sad that this is the state and what we have to offer as a city. Let me just focus, hold on, I'll be with you just now. Let me just focus on Josco. Mr. Acting Speaker, as a naturally optimistic person, I was looking to see how one can accommodate this gallant attempt of the writer or writers of these reports, who obviously attempted to put a positive spin on this department's non-performance. And the words that came to mind, guys, listen in front of me, buoyant, dictionary explanation able to keep afloat or arise the department? I mean, Mr. Acting Speaker, let's explore this further. Unfortunately, with great disappointment, I must highlight Joshko did not meet any of its KPIs.
Your time
Quarter
expired.
after quarter after quarter. I'm
Councillor,
available for
your
autographs.
time is expired. Thank you.
Speaker, they ate the money for 1 year.
Brooks.
They ate the money, pay back the money.
Councillors, thank you. Councillors, may I humbly request that we continue to maintain decorum. We are reaching the tail end of today's proceedings. We have been going very well. Please, if we can maintain that. And this is a request to both sides of the House. Councillor Rafferty, I note your hand.
Thanks, Speaker. Just a note, it's not nice to talk about people when they are not here, eh? Mabaso's not here.
Noted. Yes, thank you. Councillor Maluleke.
Thanks, Speaker. Greetings to you, Speaker, leader of the ANC caucus in the House. Speaker, I think the Councillor Shamin has just confirmed.
Excuse me, Councillor, sorry to interrupt you there. Please, can you just speak into the mic? Your audio is not really coming through clearly.
She just confirmed that things were not going well in the previous administration. But we believe that the next report will be different under the new administration. And we therefore, Speaker, note item 37 up to 42 as the African National Congress. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Christians, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, it's very sad that today all we have is 8 minutes as the Democratic Alliance to speak to 2 quarters, not 1, because in a democracy, the people should be heard and not dictated to. So when we speak to 2 reports which completely conflict with each other.
Councillor Christians, I thought that we had resolved this through the WOPRI. Now you are saying these time slots are being dictated to you. We have resolved this through the WOPRI, through your WOP council, through your caucus WOP.
Thank you, Speaker. Yes, our caucus WOP did report back to us that they were in the minority. That's why I say you should be listened to as well and not be dictated to. So Speaker, when we discuss this report, we should have discussed the first report
Councillor
4 months ago.
There's a hand. Can you take your seat? WOP of Council.
No, thank you, Speaker. Councillor Christian is misleading the House here. It is unfortunate because this memo was an agreement between the whips in a meeting. In actual fact, it came from Councillor De Lange that we should be moving in this direction. So that it cannot be correct that to say we are enforcing things to parties. It can't be correct, Speaker. It's misleading the House. It must withdraw.
Thank you. WOP of Council. Councillor Christians. Councillor Kuzonzoko, I do not take point of orders upon a point of orders. Councillor Christians. Noted your hand, you can put it down. I'm not going to take your point of order on a point of order. Please proceed, Councillor Christians.
Thank you, Speaker. So, Speaker, when we talked to Quarter 1, which should have been served in this council 4 months ago, we did not even get an explanation as to why the report and the meeting was cancelled. It was just cancelled. So when we talk about good governance, maybe we should look at our own practices first. Because if we dealt with Quarter 1, we would have known then already that there is sabotage within this organization, within the city of Johannesburg. Because as Councillor Sherman was concluding, she spoke to Joshko. Now, Joshko, we've already said in the previous term and at the beginning of this term, should be closed down. And the reason for that is very simple. They've been trading at risk.
There's a hand, please take your seat. Councillor Ekyo Zonjoko, what are you rising on?
Rising on Rule 66. The presiding officer should ensure that councillors are allowed to speak and debate freely in council subject to these rules. It is the councillor's
please
time.
take your seat. Take your
It's the
seat.
councillor's time. He chose
Please
to
take your
use
seat,
it.
Councillor Ekyo Zonjoko. I think you know better. Councillor Christians, please proceed.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, as we said, they are trading at risk. Now, I know, because what we heard when Councillor Rafferty stood up earlier on through you, Speaker, that this is Councillor Mabaso's report. No, it's not. The MMC that's sitting here, that's whose report it is. Because when you take control, you take complete control. You don't only listen to what Councillor Nembe said about how many wonderful title deeds we've given out, but we forget about the bad. You take the good and the bad. So when the MMC is going to speak through you, Speaker, we must remember that some of the bad things were there during her 4-week stint as
Councillor
well.
Christians, there's yet another hand. Please take your seat. Councillor, you are rising on what point, Councillor?
No. I want to raise an order on Councillor Christians. He said that this house has declared that Joshko must be closed. He's misleading the house. And we never took that decision.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Christians, please proceed.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, so when the MMC is going to rise, Speaker, I would like to know, because when we sat at the last meeting, we asked, what is the strategic direction of this department? We did not have any strategic direction. Why? Because our chairperson, God bless his soul, has been moving extremely slowly. We would have had a strategic plan in place already last year, but only 2 or 3 weeks ago, we actually put something in place towards the end of the year. That means this House has not been allowed to do its fiduciary duty, which is oversight. And that is why Joshko is in the situation it is in. We are aware that they are trading at risk. And I repeat it, and the councillor who spoke before me, even though he was out of order, I've said it in this House, and I'll repeat it again. Joshko is trading at risk, and we are allowing it by just saying we note reports. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Nkobungu.
Speaker, the Chair of
Councillor Nkobungu, please, if you can just take your seat. Let me just take that hand of Councillor Cotiers. Councillor Cotiers, I note your hand. What are you rising on?
Thank you, Speaker. Sorry, I see you skipped our speaker before Councillor Christians, actually. Councillor Lebatlang.
Yes, you are quite correct. May I humbly request that he speak after Councillor Nkobungu? That was erroneously omitted by me. Apologies for that. Thanks for picking that up. Thank you. You may proceed, Councillor Nkobungu.
Thanks, Speaker. Greetings to you, Speaker, the Chief Whip Zungu, the leader of our dynamic caucus, Councillor Dada Morero, the regional leadership of our glorious movement that is amongst us, the city manager. At long last, we don't have actors. We welcome you, and fellow progressive councillors of the left, and to the residents of Jozi. I will be speaking on the first and second quarter performance report for the Human Settlement Department and the first and second quarter reports for Joshko. They just notes this report, and as always, we'll always have submissions. We're noting the 75% achievement of measurable performances in the Human Settlement Department. And we also want to bring to the attention of this House that we've also managed to assess the 3 KPIs that were not achieved for this quarter, for this first and second quarter reports, which is one is KPI number 5, which is repairs and maintenance to housing stocks, which is hostels and flats. Clarity on the following issues. On these RDP flats, when is the developer responsible for the repairs, and when is the responsibility shredded to the owners? We also note that there are RDP beneficiaries who have occupied these flats for over 2 years, and they are not paying for electricity and rates and taxes. And seek clarity on the issue of hostels, because we notice that there's budget allocation for renovations of these new flats, and we don't have a clear program on when will there be allocations, because if these flats are not allocated, they will be prone to vandalism again, and we will still deal with the very same problems in the near future, and the budget will be wasted. The second KPI on human achieved, it was because of lack of a budget, and we know why the city did not have money during the past administration. We know who squandered finances of the city. We note and appreciate the achievements on KPI number 9, and we appreciate that the department overachieved on that one. Would also love to understand if the department has a way to inspect latent defects on these flats before they are handed over, or during their first trimester or so of handing over. As we think these inspections, should they be done properly, we would not have problems of us being exposed in social media or in the media about our flats that have cracks and other things. As we're still accepting new applicants into the waiting list for social housing, we would like the department to give us a clear indication of whether or not we still have enough land to build more houses for our residents, as we know that the waiting list has over 2 million people already. Noting that we still have a very large number of 1996 applicants. And we would also want to know if is there a clear plan to make sure that these 1996 applicants are allocated houses. And we know that having 1996 applicants who still are without houses and are still in the waiting list is a disgrace to our achievements in this democracy. As we would look at the Millennium Declarations of 2000 and Johannesburg Declaration on Sustainable Development of 2002. We also note the steady improvement on the distribution of title deeds by the department, and also say we understand that
30 seconds.
Most RDPs, title deeds are not handed over because of the shortage or death of their recipients. So with all of this, Speaker, we're saying the ANC knows the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Lebatlang.
Thank you very much, Acting Speaker, and greetings to all fellow councillors. I'll hit straight to the point. Speaker, as Action SA, we note the performance assessment report from the Department of Human Settlements. But Speaker, we want to bring the following to the attention of the House. Firstly, we have observed a serious concern when it comes to the entity of Joshko, and the fact that Joshko, based on its financial position and its balance sheet, clearly, Speaker, we need to perhaps ask the political principals in that particular department to serve this council with a report to declare JOSCO insolvent. I will tell you why, Speaker, we perhaps come to this particular conclusion. If you look at JOSCO's turnaround strategy or its lack of mitigation plan, you would get that there's no clear direction in terms of a 6 months, 12 months, or a 2-year plan of how they're going to turn around this particular entity. We've also noted, Speaker, that from top management, there's instability from the CEO's office to the operations of that particular entity. And the results of these particular weaknesses have seen that issues of rental stocks and ensuring that accommodation and rooms are being issued to residents of Johannesburg becomes a reality. We've also picked up, Speaker, that when it comes to the payment of contractors who are actually doing work for the Department of Human Settlements, there's also a serious concern that we want to raise to the current MMC that is responsible for this particular department. Speaker, as Action SA, we have also identified serious concerns within the Department of Human Settlements, especially the great number of 1,000 title deeds that have not been issued due to technical issues such as deceased people or people that cannot be found as a part of being beneficiaries. We also think that the department must take this particular issue of title deeds not being issued as a great concern. Secondly, we've also noted that there is a particular report that has to be served within this council when it comes to the tariffs of social housing, which has not been presented to this particular council. And we would plead that the current MMC looks into this particular issue, especially when it comes to the pricing of these particular units, to the rental stocks and the unit pricing in terms of what is approved and what is within the means of maintaining these particular infrastructures. We've also identified, Speaker, that there is a poor collection or mitigation plan in terms of how the Department of Human Settlements are going to get money from National Treasury or the Provincial Treasury. I think this is also one of the greatest concerns for us, and it might cause serious problems for this particular department. But as Action SA, we want to note this report and hope that the current MMC will take these particular issues seriously and bring a turnaround strategy around them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. MMC Leach.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. Greetings to the Executive Mayor, Acting Speaker, City Manager, Section 79 Chairpersons, the Chief Whip and Caucus of the Patriotic Alliance, fellow councillors and the audience in the gallery. All protocols observed. I rise to speak to items 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, and 42. So before I proceed, I think I firstly need to note to Councillor Sherman that the reports that are being tabled here today is as non-performance overseen by who and which administration. I first need to note that to her. As the political head for this department, I certainly note the concerns presented here and regarding the tabled report for the duration and the date specified. However, in saying this, as the current representation of this department, I look to forge a way forward and commit to the resolve of these issues presented here today in order to turn the ship around and make good to the residents of the city, which we are all liable and responsible for. We are definitely in the process of cleaning house where human settlements is concerned. I note all the concerns raised and the contributions made and put forward by this council today, and And as a department will look into the concerns tabled here, I ask council to note the table report. Thank you.
Thank you, MMC. Member in charge, Councillor Mpolo Bosho.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Firstly, I'd like to thank the members of committee of Section 79 committees from various political organizations. Thank you very much. You managed to fight for this report to come in this council because it was so hard. And also, I just want to say that through to Speaker, yes, the strat plans, we've tried to arrange then the strat plan. You know very well, the Speaker, then the strat plan was postponed 2 to 3 times. We've been struggling that. Remember, we can't hold the strat plan on the street until then they approve that date, which then the strat plan was held in a zoo. So, and then lastly, Chair, you can't run then the Section 79 without then oversight. When I took over this committee, the chair was the former chairperson, Christian. He never done any oversight at all. But now you want to come here and they claim the victory to say that I done 1, 2, 3. When I entered this one, there was no oversight. So please, Speaker, I will just thank also the...
30 seconds. Please, Councillor, can you take your seat? There is a hand. Councillor Christians.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, the chairperson is misleading this House. He's not stating that the reason there was no oversight was because him as the previous chair had not had a strat plan, so there was no oversight in place. Thank you.
Debating. Please take your seat. You've got 30 seconds, Councillor Mpolo Bosho. Please proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. Acting Speaker. Then I like also then to thank there is the legal, which is Mr. Benny as well. Thank you to help then the committee. And Speaker, I'm asking the council to note and approve the both reports. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, the recommendations are on pages 37.2, 38.8, and 41.5 to 41.6. And on pages 39.2, 40.4, 42.8 to 42.9. Are these items agreed to, councillors? Thank you.
We proceed to item 43, which is a performance assessment report for the Public Safety Department for the 2022-23 financial year for the period July to September 2022. Also read together with item 44, which is a performance assessment report for the Public Safety Department for the 2022-23 financial year for the period October to December 2022. Also read with item 45, which is an oversight report of the Section 79 Public Safety Committee on the 2022-23 first quarter performance report on the Department of Public Safety for the period 1st July to 30th September 2022. All items read together with item 46, which is an oversight report of the Section 79 Public Safety Committee on the 2022-23 second quarter performance report of the Department of Public Safety for the period 1st October to the 31st of December 2022.
Thank you, Acting Secretary to Council. The member in charge, Councillor Maila.
Mr. Acting Speaker, Your Worship, the Executive Mayor in absentia, the Leader of the Official Opposition, esteemed leaders of political parties represented in our council, the Chief Whip of Council, honorable members of council, the people of Johannesburg, greetings and salutations. I am singularly honored and privileged to have yet another opportunity to table the oversight reports of the Section 79 Public Safety Committee in relation to the department's first and second quarter performance reports for the 2022-2023 financial year. These reports...
Apologies, Councillor Maila. Councillors, please can we refrain from that? The councillor has greeted all of us. We said yes, so allow him to... Thank you so much. Please proceed, Councillor Maila.
These reports represent an outline of the progress made by the Department of Public Safety against the Service Delivery and Budget Implementation Plan for the period between July and September, as well as between October and December 2022. Mr. Acting Speaker, we remain unwavering in our belief that the first duty and highest obligation of any government is public safety. This we say because of our steadfastness in our assertion that there can be no social cohesion or economic prosperity in the absence of peace and stability for all. The committee is pleased that a significant proportion of the department's performance targets were achieved during the 2 quarters under review. But we remain concerned about the instability of the department, especially in the Johannesburg Metropolitan Police Department, occasioned by a debilitating plethora of acting arrangements across its management echelons. It is now a matter of public record, Mr. Acting Speaker, that the department has had to function without a full-time chief of police for almost 3 years now. Surely this matter should have long been finalized if the executive was serious about the safety and security of the residents of this great city. We will remain unrelenting in our engagements with the executive to ensure that all vacant and funded senior management positions in the department are filled post-haste. Mr. Acting Speaker, I ask of Council to consider the department's reports as tabled. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Maila. I am so tempted to say yes, but thank you. Councillor Coverdale, before you proceed, Councillor Cortez, I note your hand.
Thank you, Speaker. Sorry to disturb you, disturb the House. We humbly request that Councillor Moache, who's speaking later on, we're going to withdraw his speech, but if we can allocate the time to Councillor Coverdale, if the House permits.
Request is noted and also granted. Councillor Coverdale, you may proceed. You've got
Thank you, Speaker.
6.5 minutes.
Greetings, speakers, all councillors and citizens present.
No, apologies, 5 minutes. Sorry to. Please proceed. Thank you.
I rise on the first and second quarter reports for the current financial year. I would like to congratulate Councillor David Tembe, former MMC of Public Safety, for achieving an 86% achievement for all targets in quarter 1. We know that in quarter 2 there was an instability with interruptions during the quarter. I would like to also refer to law enforcement operations conducted with 33 firearms that was recovered, 30 arrests for stolen vehicles, and 33 drug arrests. The crimes mentioned are a challenge, and the removal of illegal firearms is in an effort to curb horrendous crimes in general. Now, Speaker, we can throw all stats around, and the stats is there for all to see, but the confidence of the public is not high when it comes to law enforcement. We can, however, with confidence say that the municipal police instill more confidence than our national and provincial police. Speaker, we note that crime plagues the streets of Johannesburg and that more can be done in the efforts to fight crime. Through partnerships with law enforcement agencies, the impossible becomes more possible in the fight to keep our residents safe. Not mentioned in this report is the return of our speed cameras in the month of December 2022. This will help curb road fatalities on our roads. Visibility in the inner city was higher, thus reducing the crime in the inner city of Johannesburg. This was a pilot that would have been rolled out to all regions as the enforcement levels increase. We have had our challenges, namely fire engines that were not procured. This was mainly because of contractual negotiations, which was in itself directly not the function of public safety. Ambulances are still stationary and don't have the license to operate. Reports to get ambulances was fully completed by the then MMC. It only needed to have final authorization. But we know the blue corner sits on reports, and as we have seen in our previous council meeting. This was mere act of selfishness and disregard for the citizens of Joburg. Maybe there is a challenge with the padding of the seats. That's why reports are sat on instead. Speaker, the yellow corner had 29 years to make sure that public safety is world class. But it seems to me that they still haven't learned that applying the same approach to something that doesn't work once will never work. The yellow corner is responsible for the demise of the city and the only reason why it is where it is today. Speaker, citizens often ask, what makes you better than the blues, the yellows, and the reds? Speaker, I thought about it, and one reason is that we in the Center Action SA are not your average politicians. We don't see ourselves as politicians, but as servants of the people. We have been specially placed in portfolios according to our expertise. In public safety alone, we have 80 years experience amongst the 4 councillors. We live and breathe public safety. We have been there, done that, and cannot be fooled by anybody. To Councillor Tembe, it is unfortunate that you could not complete your stint as the MMC of Public Safety. We had good prospects for you fixing up the portfolio. Finally, the Reds, you probably have a hangover on your failed attempt to destabilize the country. We have started and completed some of the processes, bringing back the CCTV reaction unit, the inner city rejuvenation project through Buyamteto, the appointment of staff in acting positions, the increase of officers in regions to deal with the 3-band approach, equipping our security officers with proper tools of trade, the rollout of body cams to curb corruption, and finally to bring our ambulances back to the street. All you need to do is have them implemented. We will be monitoring you, especially referencing illegal land invasion challenges. Action SA notes this item, and I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Coverdale. Councillor Zita.
Failed project. Thank you very much, Speaker. Acting Speaker. Greetings to the EFF Party Leader and Caucus, Councillor Spetlele Rasurute, Chief Whip, Mrs. Tabisa Mahapi, MMC of Public Safety, MMC Jaku, MMC of Health and Social Development, Ms. Enima Kafula, EFF Caucus, and the rest. Speaker, allow me to start with this quote from one of the famous greatest leader from Mozambique, a former Mozambique president, His Excellency Samora Machel. He said, and they are praising you, The day you hear the white speak of me in good terms, that day, do not share with me your secret, because that means that I will have betrayed you already. So don't get too excited, Speaker. So, Speaker, again, I would like to commend all the ground forces of our glorious movement, the EFF. We were indeed at all corners of South Africa on the 20th of March. And indeed, there was no movement. There was a national shutdown. National shutdown was a success. Speaker, as the EFF, we note the report, and we are happy that the new MMC is going to change things. Tembe was wasting time, Speaker. I seriously, there's nothing that he have done. We have spoken to him, he have agreed. There's nothing. It was a waste of time. Now we have got a new sheriff. MMC Ntwako is going to change things. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Talk about a national letdown.
Councillor De Rocha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is my opinion that JMPD department is a failing department. We can look at it any way we want, but that is the reality. Evidence on the ground clearly does indicate that my statement is not far from the truth. I feel that these reports that we are constantly getting are box-ticking exercises, just a KPI to be met. Not that they are being met anyway, but nevertheless, it is exactly what it is. The department sets targets for themselves. I really do not see the point of setting your own targets. Now the targets are met, so now let's go home, let's take a break, let's go have a braai. Let's not go early and go home. No, Mr. Speaker. Let's go out into the streets of Johannesburg and measure JMPD for what it really is. I ask this council, is it fair, Mr. Speaker? Is it fair that this department has allowed the whole city to fall into decay? Is it fair that the inner city is empty because businesses like the Joburg Stock Exchange has left the area because of the state of the inner city in relation to crime and grime? Is it fair that the landmark like the Carlton Centre is no longer a five-star hotel because of the lawlessness of the inner city? Is it fair that the Johannesburg Sun has closed down for years because of the slime and grime of the area? This is just 3 examples of how the city has deteriorated. Yes, we must blame all the relevant departments, no doubt. Yet the most important ingredient in the soup is JMPD. Mr. Speaker, this report speaks about 7 priorities. A city that gets things done. Where, Mr. Speaker? Where are the things getting done? I spent a fortune on eyeglasses thinking that I was going blind, yet when I put my glasses on, I could see the lack of law enforcement even further down the road. There is nothing getting done, Mr. Speaker. A safe and secure city. Where, Mr. Speaker, there does not go a day by that I do not hear about one tragedy or another happening in the city of Johannesburg. Let's look at Yeovil, Ward 67 and 66 Rocky Street is full of drug dealers. It is that street that one cannot walk 10 meters without getting mugged or a cell phone stolen. Hillbrow, Rosettenville, Jeppestown area, and I could gladly carry on if I had the time, Mr. Speaker. A caring city. Where, Mr. Speaker, does this city and this department care? Who do you exactly care for? Do you care for its law-abiding citizens? Do you care for the victims of crime and grime? Do you care for businesses that employ hundreds of thousands of people? Do you really care? Does this Department of Public Safety really care? The only caring I see is for the lawbreakers, the vandals, the dumpers, the jaywalkers, the drug dealers. Again, I could carry on and on, but I would not have the time, Mr. Speaker. a business-friendly city. Where is this city and this department a business-friendly city? Can we really say that? Is allowing five-star hotels to close down due to crime and grime and lawlessness to be considered a business-friendly city? Could we really say that allowing people to totally occupy pavements and illegally trade is a business-friendly city? No, Mr. Speaker. Creating well-run and well-managed markets without corruption would be considered a business-friendly city, Mr. Speaker. An inclusive city. Mr. Speaker, what is inclusive? What is an inclusive city? Wouldn't we agree that an inclusive city would be to see people of all classes safely walking down the streets of the city and suburbs, eating exotic foods, buying cultural clothing without fear of getting robbed, mugged, and killed for their cell phones? If I am wrong, then please give me the meaning of an inclusive city, Mr. Speaker. A well-run city. Really, Mr. Speaker, where? Exactly where is the city being well-run? Or where is JMPD running their departments well? Has anyone taken note of the state of the city on the way to council? With all the broken bylaws and the crime that has developed this city, this once great city of Southern Africa? Mr. Speaker and colleagues, and Mr. Mayor, are you people embarrassed to be running the city in this state? Well, I am embarrassed, but I'm hoping that someday, during my term or after my term, this will change. A smart city. Mr. Speaker, is this a joke? This is the joke of the century, I swear. A smart city, exactly. What is smart about dismantling a CCTV system that was working perfectly and spending hundreds of millions of rands to take the CCTV camera system back into the Stone Age? So, Mr. Speaker and colleagues, no, there is nothing smart about destroying a system that prevented crime in so many different ways. We asked the victims of crime how they feel about a smart city when they find out the truth of the so-called smart operating system called the IIOC system run by JMPD. Mr. Speaker, do you still believe that Johannesburg JMPD, the Public Safety Department, are smart? This report talks about land invasions. 1,677 shacks and structures were removed. Does the department expect a standing ovation for this, Speaker? What about the other thousands that are still there? What about the massive informal camps that mushroomed without any interference across parts of Johannesburg? What about the squalor that people are living in because of uncontrolled informal settlements? And why and how can a department say that they have reached the KPIs when there are many more illegal structures in public parks, in private and government lands that are not getting removed? Victory and success is not measured when 20 legal structures were removed, yet hundreds remain. Victory and success is only considered a success when all structures are removed and law enforcement prevails. This Department of Public Safety, Mr. Speaker, must stop patting themselves on the back like little children in a primary school for taking their first steps and not finishing the job. They must only pat themselves on the back when they succeed in controlling the lawlessness that has taken over the city of Johannesburg. The reality is that this department is and have been failing from as long as I have been a councillor in this chamber, going for 12 years. Mr. Speaker, I have been in this committee for 3 terms with the hopes that things could change. But I doubt it very much, and I say this because there is no willpower in the department. Officials in the department are disgruntled. Officers are not getting promoted within the ranks. Directors are all in active positions. The chief of police is an active position.
Your time has expired. Thank you. Can I please ask protocol just to check on our councillors in as far as their water is concerned? Just to cover them, I saw some hands with raising bottles. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor De Rocha. Councillor Naya.
Mr. Speaker, the Executive Mayor, City Manager, Leader of the ANC Caucus, MMCs, Chief Whip, leaders of all political parties, fellow councillors, guests in the gallery, and residents of the city of Joburg. I'm not going to stand here and make political comments and try to win. That's left for the ballot box on the day of elections. So political parties, we waste the time of our residents when we do this. Councillors, Mr. Speaker, the issue of safety and security should be the #1 priority in the city of Joburg. And when I look at these reports, and I have to agree with some of my former councillors speaking that serve on the portfolio committee, that it seems like a lot of these figures are not true, they're false. All we have to do is ask ourselves, can any one of us walk down the streets in our suburbs at 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning and feel safe about it and be confident about it? There's not one of us going to stand up here and say, yes, we can do it. I walk with my firearm, unfortunately. But the reality of this, we cannot. Law-abiding citizens of this city, their biggest concern when you interact with them is their safety. The safety of their loved ones, the safety of their children, the safety of our women and our old age people. So we need to prioritize the issue of safety. And I pray the new MMC coming through would listen to the portfolio committee, would listen to the cries of the people, and make safety and security, the safety of the city of Johannesburg, a priority. Because I believe that if we can bring law and order back to the city, everything else would be achieved. If we currently look at what we're facing in this country, in the city, from bylaws to infrastructure that's being stolen daily, every corner we have robots that have been cut and are lying on the floor. All our problems when it comes to service delivery emanates from the lack of safety and the lack of law and order in the country. But we need a political will. The political will is to come not just from one MMC or one party, it has to come from all of us. We as the fathers, as the elected representatives of the residents of the city of Joburg have to have the will to bring back law and order to this country and to the city. It starts, the city of Joburg, if we bring law and order back to the city of Joburg, we will bring back law and order to this country. Mr. Speaker, onto the issues facing, it's been spoken about, and I just want to reiterate, and MMC, you've got to listen to us, we need permanent positions in public safety. We cannot go another 3 years by having an acting chief of police. We are at war with the criminals and criminal syndicates in this country, and we cannot go to war with an acting chief. We need a permanent, decisive leader that's going to take directions, that's going to come with a vision to make the city of Johannesburg a safer place for all its residents. So timeline should be put on this. We shouldn't be dragging for another 3 years, but we should be giving ourselves another 2 months to have a chief in place. Combined with the chief, most department heads in public safety, be it in EMS, be it in disaster, are all acting positions. It's something that we have spoken about at the portfolio committee from the time we got into the committee, but over a year has passed by and we are still having acting positions. So we're hoping, and I do have the confidence that our new MMC will sort this out. Mr. Speaker, I just want to touch on the issue of the fire engines that were promised. A year has gone by, nothing has come through. And once again, the poor of the poorest, the masses that live in the most disadvantaged communities, your Deep Sleuths, your Ivory Parks, your Orange Farm, are the residents that suffer. Winter is coming, and we know we have an increase in fires in our informal settlements. So it's a matter of priority that we get fire engines to these communities. The fire engines were promised, by the way, by the past mayor to be delivered within a year, but so far we have seen nothing. Mr. Speaker, I want to talk about, when you look at these KPIs, and sadly one of the issues that's really facing our communities is the issue of drugs. And I've said this, and I've said it on many public platforms, that the issue of drugs is a pandemic. bigger than HIV, AIDS, and even the COVID that we went through. It is slowly destroying a generation of people, but it not only destroys the young generation that are hooked on the drugs, it destroys families. And when you look at 30 drugs arrests by JMPD, we have a dog unit that should be committed to doing searches, stop and searches, raids. The information is out there. Rivoli residents, El Dorado Park residents, Mayfair residents will give you this information, who's dealing, where it's being dealt. But what is JMPD doing about it? So, Mr. MMC, my appeal to you is use that dog unit, increase the capacity of the dog unit, but let's go after these people. Let's build confidence in our residents that we are really serious about the scourge of drugs in our communities. Mr. Speaker, I would like to end there, and I think the ANC will accept this report, and those were some of our concerns. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Naya. MMC Twaku. Councillor Naya, please can you switch off your mic so that the MMC can speak?
Thank you very much, Speaker. Greetings to my colleagues, the party leader of the EFF, Father Spetlele, the whip, Father Tabisa, and all my other colleagues, the rest of the caucus, and also the leaders on the side, and also the sons and daughters of Helen Zille, this other side. Thank you very much for that. Speaker, Amo Cabral said, tell no lies and claim no easy victories. Hide nothing from the masses. Councillor, what's his name, that councillor from Action SA? Cloverdale. I found that department to be in tatters. In such a way that we have to start from the beginning. That's the reason why we had to go and consult from the head of department to all the stakeholders, directors, and all of that. There's nothing that has been done for the past year that I know. Someone has been galloting that department to a point that it's nearly dysfunctional. Me and my colleague were saying that we're starting from the beginning. But of course, we have a new sheriff in town. We're going to get things done here. All the other issues that they've actually spoken about, we are going to do them. Councillor Roka, please, please. I've been in your ward, Daniel, I have helped you.
MMC.
It was the first word.
MMC, sorry
I'm
to
sorry,
interject.
Speaker. I'm sorry.
Please speak through the presiding officer. Thank you.
All right.
You may proceed.
Councillor Roka, I was in his ward, and I really helped him in terms of ensuring that we clean all the nyaupes and the people who were attacking him in his ward. So I did help him there. So there's a change. Now he comes here and he lies about treatment or special love for him.
Take your seat. Councillor De Rocha.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, when I made my report, I wasn't talking about my ward. I was talking about
Councillor De
Johannesburg.
Rocha, what is your point of order?
There is the point of order.
Thank you.
Number
Please
one,
sit down.
he used the word lie.
Sit down. Can you please take your seat, Councillor De Rocha? Please take your seat. There is no point of order. MMC Twaku, please proceed.
No, I agree with the other speaker, Councillor Ne, an elder that is, advising and seeing this young and energetic MMC.
MMC, my apologies. There is another hand. Please take your seat. Councillor?
Thank you, Speaker. Could you kindly ask him to withdraw lie? He said that Councillor De Rocha was telling lies.
Noted.
Please.
MMC, may I humbly request that you correct that speech?
I withdraw the name lie, but he was economical with the truth.
Thank you, MMC.
So let me agree that the KPIs, I don't agree with them. They are too lenient. I agree with you. That because there's no, they don't translate to what is happening on the ground. So we are going to give ourselves a challenge. That's why we said, look, these they've been changing and all of that, looking as if they are doing very good, 86%, 85%. I don't agree with that. I think they're too lenient. We're going to give a stringent one. We're going to give ourselves key performance indicators which are going to translate to the changes on the ground. Not something to just comply and all of that. And I said to the Section 79 committee, hold on, whoa. We are coming with a report, a turnaround strategy of the department. One, we're going to be filling all vacancies. I've signed an order, so all positions must be permanent. We are advertising already. Number two, we're going to give body cams, uniforms, ammunition, cars to the JMPD because they did not have. Where were they? Who was hiding them? Who was doing all these things, sabotaging the Department of Public Safety? People are coming here and grandstanding that there's nothing's happening in my department. It's not true. I asked the question, what happened? The ambulances, there's a report, we're going to process it. Those ambulances, we're going to approve them. They're going to be running in the next few weeks. Fire engines, I asked the question, who has been ordering those substandard fire engines? Because currently the ones that have been ordered or that are operating right now, they are heating up. They are not fit for purpose, by the way. Because in the highest building in town is 165 meters, which translates into 16 bar. But the ones that are got right now is 12 bar. If something is burning in 160 meters, what are you going to do? Where were the people who are supposed to, the committee before? So all those things we are going to ensure that they are there. So sorry, Speaker.
I said you had 30 seconds. It's
okay. We are going to ensure that the IOC is working, the cameras are working with what is called an artificial intelligence. That will be able to detect the movement of the people, and also we're going to have a unit that's going to ensure that when there's a suspect that is there, a criminal, we have a unit that goes very quickly and apprehend them. So all these things, Speaker, we're going to do them. That department is going to be stabilized. Everything will be okay. There's a new sheriff in town. We are here to make it happen. I thank you.
Thank you, MMC.
Manje namhlanje. Manje namhlanje.
Inspired, MMC. Thank you. Thank you. Member in charge, Councillor Maila.
Mr. Acting Speaker, aware that this could be my last tabling as chairperson of the Public Safety Committee, and mindful of the reality that politics is not for the faint-hearted, please permit me to express my thanks to my party, the DA, for nominating me as their candidate for chairperson of the committee, and to council for entrusting me with this responsibility when it elected me to this position on the 27th of January 2022. I particularly thank my colleagues on the committee, the committee staff and the entire senior management team of the department for their support during my tenure. My coming chairperson is that I will do a proper handing over and that I will always be available to assist him or her whenever I am called upon to do so. Honorable Acting Speaker, the committee recommends that Council approve the Public Safety Department's performance reports as well as the committee's oversight reports on the department for the first and second quarters of the 2022-2023 financial year, covering the period July to September 2022 and October to December 2022, of course, taking into account all of the observations and comments made thereon. I thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Maila. Thank you, councillors. Thank you. Councillor Sifumba, I saw your hand.
Thank you, Acting Chair. Acting Chair, may I humbly ask that some form of deep cleaning of the carpet be done? It is quite unbearable to even continue with the meeting because the dust mites, they keep on rising and rising, and it's difficult to breathe in the chamber. So I therefore ask humbly, because we want to be in the house, but due to health reasons, one cannot cope. So if there can be some form of deep cleaning that can be done on the carpet, we'll really appreciate it. Thank you.
Your request is noted, Councillor Sifumba. And then I've got Councillor... Oh, that's too far, I can't see.
Chair, can I have, sorry, Speaker, could I have permission to leave early, please? I've got a family emergency at home.
Noted and granted, thank you. Upon the request of Councillor Sifumba regarding the cleaning, it is noted. I would like then also to take this opportunity to request that we take a 10-minute body break after we agree to the items. If we take a 10-minute body break, if that's fine, because I see that some of us are suffering to or struggling to actually breathe, and we wouldn't want an accident at this point. Councillors, before we leave our seats, the recommendations are on pages 43.15 and 45.4, and on pages 44.18 as well as 46.4. Are the items agreed to? Thank you, councillors. 10-minute body break. Thank you.
She is just a speaker in the city of Johannesburg.
I got it, Chair.
Councillors, please settle into your seats so that we can proceed. Thank you. Thank you, councillors. I see there's still a lot of councillors up and about. Councillors, this is a humble plea. Please take your seats so that we can proceed. Thank you. Thank you, councillors. We are now proceeding. Acting Secretary to Council.
Councillors, we are on item 47, which is a performance assessment report for the Transport Department for the 2022-23 financial year for the period July to September 2022. Read together with item 48, which is a performance assessment report for Joburg Roads Agency for the 2022-23 financial year for the period July to September 2022. Also read together with item 49, which is a performance assessment report for the Joburg Metropolitan Bus Services for the 2022-23 financial year for the period July to September 2022. Also read with item 50, which is a performance assessment report for Transport Department for the 2022-23 financial year for the period October to December 2022. Also read with item 51, which is a performance assessment report for the Joburg Roads Agency for the 2022-23 financial year for the period October to December 2022. Also read with item 52, which is a performance assessment report for the Joburg Metropolitan Bus Services for the 2022-23 financial year for the period October to December 2022. Also read with item 53, which is an oversight report of the Transport Section 79 Committee on the quarter four performance assessment report of the Transport Department, Metrobus, and Joburg Road Agency for the period July to September 2022. And all the items also read together with item 54, which is an oversight report of the Transport Section 79 Committee on the second quarter performance assessment report of the Transport Department, Metrobus, and Joburg Roads Agency for the period October to December 2022.
Thank you, Acting Secretary to Council. There was a hand, Councillor Rafferty.
Thanks, Acting Speaker. Just before we proceed with that one, just a request that we please elevate the economic development performance assessment reports together with the finance department just after the legislature performance reports. Then we've dealt with all the quarterly reports respectively. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rafferty. Can I confirm that we are in agreement? Agreed? Agreed. Thank you. Those items have been elevated as requested. Thank you. I call on the member in charge, Councillor Ndlela.
Thank you, Speaker, and greetings to you. Greetings to the Executive Mayor, Chief Whip of Council, MMCs, all chairpersons of Section 79 committees, Leader of caucus, Honorable Dada Morero, fellow councillors, and all the people in the gallery. Mr. Speaker, I rise to table item 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, and 54. The performance assessment report for the Transport Department, Metrobus, and JRA for the period of July.
Apologies, Councillor Ndlela. Please, can I kindly ask you to speak into the mic? The audio isn't too audible. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Speaker. I hope I'm audible now. Mr. Speaker, I rise to table the item 47.
Can we just try again, Councillor Ntela, just to... Yes, just to speak into the mic, thank you.
Or to the mic. Right, okay. Mr. Speaker, I rise to table item 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, and 54. The performance assessment report for the Transport Department, Metro Bus, and Johannesburg Road Agency for the period of July to September 2022 and the period to October to December 2022, the financial year, and the oversight report for the period of July to September 2022 and October to December 2022. The committee noted that the Department of Transport and its entities faces a number of challenges which led to the inability to achieve several key targets. The failure to deliver capital projects on time and within the budget, the lack of capacity and resources, and the delays in procurement of automated fare collections are challenges that continues to hamper the department and its entities. Mr. Speaker, the committee also pleased with the work that the department and its entities are continuously doing to proceed of Johannesburg. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ntela. Councillor